Welcome to Duskveil. Tonight, we'll dive into 3 terrifying true road trip horror stories. These tales will make you think twice before traveling alone at night. It was close to midnight when I was driving home after visiting a friend. The road I took was long and lonely, cutting through farmland and forest. The fog that night was so thick, it felt like I was driving through a sea of smoke. My headlights barely lit up more than a few feet ahead. I kept the radio off. The silence in the car was heavy, broken only by the hum of the engine and the occasional crack of gravel beneath my tire. It was the kind of silence that makes you feel like something is just waiting. That's when I saw him. A man was standing on the shoulder of the road, barely visible through the fog. He wore dark clothes, his head lowered, and his thumb was sticking out in that universal gesture for a ride. He looked soaked, like he had been standing out there for hours. I hesitated. Every instinct told me to keep driving, but my foot pressed the brake. The car slowed, and the man lifted his head. His face was pale, his eyes dark. He didn't say a word as I unlocked the door. He slid into the back seat, dripping wet, the smell of damp earth filling the car. I glanced at him in the mirror and asked softly, "Where are you headed?" No answer. He just stared out the window. His breathing was shallow, almost like a faint wheeze. I thought maybe he was sick or exhausted. The minutes stretched. The silence grew unbearable. I asked again, louder this time. Nothing. Finally, I turned my head, ready to repeat myself. The seat was empty. I blinked, slammed the brakes, my heart racing. I checked the back seat again, every corner, even the floor. Nothing. The man was gone. The doors were locked, the windows rolled up, and the car had never stopped moving. There was no way he could have slipped out. My chest tightened. The smell of damp earth still lingered, stronger now, like he was still there. I gripped the wheel so hard my knuckles went white, and I drove, faster and faster, refusing to look back into the rearview mirror. For the rest of the night I didn't stop, and I never picked up another hitchhiker again. It was just after midnight when I began my drive home. The highway stretched endlessly ahead, cutting through empty fields and patches of forest. A thin layer of fog drifted across the asphalt, glowing faintly in my headlights. I hadn't seen another car for miles. The road was mine alone, or so I thought. Then, in the distance, I noticed them, headlights, bright, piercing through the fog, growing slowly larger in my rearview mirror. My jaw dropped lightly as my eyes flitted around. My jaw dropped lightly in my rearview mirror. A truck. At first, I didn't think much of it. Trucks drive late at night all the time. I kept my speed steady, waiting for it to pass, but it didn't. Mile after mile, the truck stayed behind me. Not too close, not too far, just there, watching. I pressed the gas. My car picked up speed. The truck did the same. I slowed down. So did it. No matter what I did, it matched me. Like it was playing some kind of twisted game. The road stretched on. Nothing but endless darkness. No exits. No gas stations. Not even another pair of headlights. Just me and the truck. My chest tightened. My palms began to sweat. Every time I looked into the mirror, those lights were still there, burning into me. It felt less like I was being followed, and more like I was being hunted. The truck drew closer. Its headlights flared brighter, flooding my car with blinding white light. I could feel my pulse in my throat, pounding harder with every second. My grip on the steering wheel turned my knuckles pale, and then, suddenly, those headlights swerved. For one terrifying moment, I thought the truck was going to ram me. I braced myself, certain I would feel the impact. But nothing happened. The light vanished. The sound of the engine disappeared. I slammed the brakes, staring into the mirror. There was nothing. No headlights, no truck, just a long stretch of empty road, swallowed by fog. I drove the rest of the way home in silence, too afraid to look back again. To this day, I don't know what followed me that night. Maybe it was just a truck, or maybe... It was close to 2 in the morning, and I had been driving for nearly 6 hours straight. My eyes were heavy, my coffee long gone cold, and the road ahead stretched into nothing but fog and darkness. The fuel gauge was dipping dangerously close to empty when I finally saw it. A flickering neon sign glowing weakly through the mist. It read, "Gas 24 hours." Relief washed over me. I hadn't seen another sign of life for miles. I pulled off the road and drove toward the station. But as I got closer, something felt wrong. The pumps were old and rusted, their paint peeling in long flakes. The store's windows were cracked and smeared with dust, and a single fluorescent light above the door flickered erratically, buzzing like an insect trapped in glass. Just complete silence. I parked near the entrance and stepped out. The night air was cold and heavy, thick with the smell of wet asphalt and rust. "Hello?" I called out, my voice echoing faintly between the pumps and the building. "Anyone here?" No answer. But then, something shifted. From somewhere behind the building came a faint sound, a dragging step, the scrape of something heavy moving along concrete. I froze. My mind told me to get back in the car and leave, but curiosity rooted me to the spot. After a few seconds, I forced myself to move forward, my footsteps crunching quietly on gravel. The door creaked loudly when I pushed it open. Inside, the air was stale and thick with dust. Rows of empty shelves lined the narrow aisles, covered in cobwebs and faded packaging. The fluorescent light overhead flickered weakly, casting long, trembling shadows across the floor. I called out again, trying to sound confident. "Hello? I just need gas." Still nothing. I took a few cautious steps deeper inside. My boots echoed on the old tile floor. Somewhere a ceiling fan spun lazily, squeaking every few seconds. And then I heard it. Footsteps, slow, deliberate, coming from the back of the store. "Hey," I said nervously. "I didn't mean to trespass, The footsteps stopped. Silence. I stood there, waiting for something, anything, but all I could hear was the faint hum of the flickering light. Then, out of nowhere, whispering. It was soft at first, like the rustling of paper. Then it grew louder. Many voices, overlapping, whispering in tones I couldn't understand. The sound came from behind me. I spun around, but the room was empty. Still, the voices didn't stop. Then a vampire voice spoke and whispered. The voices didn't stop. They grew sharper, closer, until it felt like they were right next to my ears. My heart pounded. I stumbled backward, knocking over a display rack. The whispering rose to a deafening hiss. I clapped my hands over my ears, but I could still hear them inside my head. That's when I ran. I bolted out the door into the cold night air and jumped back into my car. I didn't even look at the fuel gauge. I just hit the gas and drove. My tires screeched on the wet pavement, the fog swallowing the station behind me. I didn't dare look back, not until I was miles away. But when I finally glanced into my rearview mirror, the gas station wasn't there. No lights, no building, no sign, just fog and the endless empty road.
Duskveil production. If you enjoy this story, stay with us. There are more nights and more voices waiting to be heard. Subscribe to Duskveil if you dare.